The Haram love. This is a story of an unacceptable or forbidden love affair resulting from racist motives between a white Sudanese Arab girl and a black African Zungi boy from South Sudan. It was written in English and translated into Arabic by Dr. A. Ahmed. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, historic in a tribal system or transmitted in any form, or by enemies without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer who may cite brief passages from a review for printing in a journal, magazine, a school journal, or a university article. All characters in this novel are fictitious, and any resemblance to real people, live or dead, is purely coincidental. Chapter 25. Two lovers who are a perfect match. There is nothing more satisfying for parents in Sudan than an arranged marriage. This is because in such a marriage, wealth, beauty, intelligence, education, and tribal alliance will be carefully weighed before any further step is taken to choose the future husband of the daughter or the life partner of the son. One of those lucky families found a beautiful, educated girl as a suitable future wife for their son. The college-educated, beautiful girl's family also approved of the choice, and so the boy and girl got engaged. The fiancé is studying medicine at the University of Khartoum and will become a doctor in the near future. The fiancée graduated from the Faculty of Commerce at Cairo University, Khartoum branch, and now works as a secretary in a large company. Both are from the Denka tribe in South Sudan. The only defect between them, which the two families are suing for, is that the fiancé is a Muslim and the fiancée a Christian. For the boy's family, this is not a problem because Islam allows a Muslim man to marry a Christian woman or a Jewish girl from the people of the book. In addition, the fiancé's father himself, a Sudanese Muslim, married an Ethiopian Christian girl through a long love affair. They faced opposition from their Denka and Abyssinian families, but it was not as strong as that which prevented the Arab girl in South from continuing her love with her African lover Deng, whom her racist family called a black-faced Negro slave. In any case, there are only 3 months left before the Muslim and Christian couples are united in the framework of an official marriage. Meanwhile, the boy and the girl thought they had fallen in love with each other. They talked on the phone for long hours and went to visit famous tourist attractions, public parks, movie theaters, river banks, and other wonderful places where newlyweds, suitors, and lovers gather every evening. They played basketball and tennis and swam in the pools together. Whenever they have moments of privacy, they whisper words of admiration and express their feelings by hugging, kissing, and looking into each other's eyes. Their emotional attachment to each other is growing steadily every minute and every hour. Every day added more noble feelings and more intense passions to their love relationship. They live in a wonderful, ideal dreamland. The lovers believe that nothing could destroy their perfect life, and their upcoming wedding was only a matter of time. It is Thursday evening when the handsome fiancé comes to take his beautiful fiancée for another date at a tourist restaurant. The restaurant is known as Hamada's floating restaurant because it is on a tourist ship sailing back and forth near the banks of the Nile River. The boyfriend came half an hour ago and had to wait in his car until his girlfriend finished applying her makeup. He does not feel impatient or bored from the long wait. While he was waiting, he checked his handsome face in his car mirror several times. Everything seemed beautiful, elegant, and perfect to him. His car, his new clothes, his perfume, the cash in his pocket. Today is Thursday, the last day of the weekend, and the next day is a Friday holiday. The timing and the weather, all of which the elegant fiance considers an occasion to welcome his beautiful fiancée. When the sweet girl finally appeared in her beautiful dress, it was complete perfection. Her sweet lips revealed a beautiful smile, and then he greeted her with a quick kiss on her soft cheek. For 1 hour, the lover drove his beloved in his car along the river bank on the beautiful Dial Street. As the car moved slowly down the street, the engaged couple whispered their love for each other and planned their soon marriage. Everything the girl wishes for or says, the boy agrees to. Everything the fiancé promised to do for her after their happy wedding, the fiancé believed it. In the land of their dreams, the car arrived at the famous lovers' paradise called Hamada's floating restaurant. The two perfect fiancés walk into the tourist restaurant holding hands as lovers do at a time like this. They found a quiet corner with a table with two chairs lit with red lights and sat down close to each other. A white Arab waitress approached him, looking beautiful and sexy in her work uniform. She took their request while a charming smile adorned her sweet lips and her beautiful eyes shone like the stars in the sky above them. The engaged lovers quickly got rid of her and hoped she would never come back to them again. After their souls drank the nectar of their lips, their words began to express the love that was bubbling like an oven in their hearts. It is a very beautiful day, the girl whispered. The boy replied, yes, it is. In fact, every moment I spend with you, my sweet Susie, is wonderful. The boy continued. I mean the weather, the girl said. Yes, I know that. But your beauty, my soul, always adds to the beauty of the day. A day without you cannot be a great day. In fact, a day without you is like a day without sunshine. Do you love me that much? The girlfriend asked her lover after hearing that. She was as dear to him as the rays of the rising sun. I love you more than words can express. Do you promise to love me like this all the days of your life? Yes, I will love you forever with a love stronger than Romeo's love for Juliet and Majnunkai's love for his beloved Layla. You have become everything to me. Did you ever love a beautiful girl before you met me? Fell in love with me and engaged me? No, and I will never love any other girl but you. After those poetic words of love, the two perfect lovers entered into an ecstasy of love and culminated it in hugging and kissing until the beautiful Arab waitress parted their lips again. She brought their cold drinks and promised to return soon with their delicious fresh food. This time, the two engaged lovers returned to the reality of daily life and began discussing the issues that concern everyone. The beautiful fiancée asked, did you hear about the girl who killed 4 people and stole money and jewelry? The handsome fiancé replied, I did not read the newspapers today. I felt like I was mentioning this to you because you live in the city of Gadarif before you joined the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Khartoum. The accused girl is from that city. What made her do all those heinous crimes? Her case is a long and sad story. She is an Arab girl from Eastern Sudan who fell in love with an African young man from South Sudan. The African boy betrayed her, deceived her with his false love, then committed adultery with her outside of the marriage bond and impregnated her with walad haram or an illegitimate child. Her Arab parents locked her inside her house until she gave birth to an illegitimate child. After that, her mother killed the infant and threw his remains into a hole inside a creek. To cover up their heinous crime and their daughter's scandal, her parents forced her to marry a 77-year-old man. She is a teenage girl in her prime age and is only 17 years old. So there is a difference of 60 years from her aged husband. Therefore, she killed her old husband on their first wedding night, fled her home and city, and came here by train. Then she went to a brothel house and became a prostitute. She then killed 2 women and stole a large sum of cash and jewelry. One of the murdered women was a bim, and the second was a prostitute like her. Did you say that a young African man from South Sudan cheated on the Arab girl from Sudan? This is what the newspapers reported about him. Did the newspapers mention his name or the girl's name? The newspapers only mentioned the girl's name. What is her name? I don't remember it, but I must have looked at her name in the newspaper. I have that newspaper in my handbag now. Yes, please, baby. I want to know her name. They even put her pictures in all the local newspapers. While the beautiful fiancée says these words to her handsome fiancé, her hands are busy searching inside her handbag. Then the girlfriend took out the newspaper and placed it in front of her lover. When the fiancé saw the huge picture of the girl accused of serious crimes, he jumped from it and fell backward with his chair. During his sudden fall, his legs kicked the table and the 2 cold drinks cups in the opposite direction. The fiancée screamed and jumped backward and fell upside down, and her lover kicked her like a horse kicked it is honor. She flipped backward, exposing her little red swimsuit-like underwear, and fell 2 meters away from her chair. The soft drinks spilled on her legs, thighs, and private parts, and wet her shoes and socks. When the future groom stood up, he hurried to pick up the newspaper. While he was staring at the picture with a wide gaze, he heard the complaining of his girlfriend, who was lying on the ground. Instead of apologizing and helping his fiancée get up, the fiancé stood like a statue and began reading the newspaper article. As a Sudanese Arab waitress shouted from a distance to her colleague, the other white waitress, when she saw that the girlfriend's beloved had fallen. When she saw the beloved girlfriend had fallen, she shouted it. The black Negro slave kicked the brown slave with his legs like a horse kicks a donkey and kill her or knock her unconscious. Maybe he finds out that she is cheating on him and having her uncircumcised pussy fucked by the circumcised cock of a Sudanese Arab guy whom she works in his house as a maid servant. Despite this, the two waitresses stood apart and waited until they could see the black Negro slave boy would jump over the treacherous nigger girl and kill her. Meanwhile, the so-called Negro slave, with every word he read in the newspaper, revealed an indescribable astonishment on his face. As soon as he finished reading the article, he shouted in horror and out loud, "Impossible! What happened to you, my crazy lover case?" His fiancée asked as she tried to overcome her shock and stand on her feet. "Impossible!" The shocked lover repeated it. "What is impossible, you idiot?" the fiancée asked impatiently. "It is unbelievable. You drive me crazy like you do. It is an incredible story. It is an impossible story. I do not think that this accused Arab girl in South Salah al-Junaid would be capable of committing all these heinous crimes. She must be an innocent suspect. Do you know that criminal Arab girl? Yes, I know her personally. I am the South Sudanese African boy whom they accuse of deceiving her, committing adultery with her, and impregnating her with an illegitimate child through forbidden sexual intercourse outside the bond of Islamic marriage. Maybe they meant someone else and not you. I truly and truly loved her, and I almost worship her, just as the madman Case loved his beloved Arab girl Layla. I wanted it to marry her in halal Islamic marriage, but she said that her Arab parents would not accept me as her husband because in their eyes I was just a worthless black African Negro slave, and they considered me dirtier than the excrement of their white Arab daughter. Despite this, their disgusting racist attitude, their Arab daughter did not see me the way her parents saw me. Rather, she loved me truly and deeply, but she told me that she would not be able to disobey the authority of her Arab father. He was her guardian, and he would choose who would marry his daughter. After that, I learned from some of my Arab classmates that because of her forbidden love for a black Negro slave, her father took her out of school and locked her in the house. Her Arab mother, who was angry with her because of her haram love for an uncircumcised southern slave, shaved her hair and made her bald girl like crazy. Then her mother brought a circumciser and circumcised her vagina, even though she had been purified and her genitals mutilated since her childhood. I didn't know what happened to her after that. The black African fiancée screamed angrily at her southern Denka fiancé when she learned that he was in love with a beautiful white Arab girl before her, but he lied to her about his past love and claimed that he had never fallen in love with any girl before her. But the newspaper reported that she committed adultery with another black African young man, became pregnant illegally, and gave birth to an illegitimate child. So it must be another black African person who deceived her and impregnated her with a forbidden illegitimate child. Susie repeated her conclusion louder to her lover. Insaf is a Northern Arab girl, and a Northern girl would never do such a thing because it would cost her life in an honor killing. You mean to tell me that all these accusations against her are false? I have to see a lawyer. I will not allow my Arab friend in South to face all these accusations alone. I am also involved in some of her so-called heinous crimes. Do you want to ask a lawyer to defend a serious case like this? Yes, I should do that. I doubt that God himself can plead a case and prove the innocence of a useless Arab girl who killed 4 people, stole jewelry and money from people, and lived as a prostitute in a brothel house for a long time. Then shouted it angrily, Susie, don't be so quick to judge a person you haven't met and don't know much about her past. I know Insaf very well, and I know that she would never commit such heinous crimes. The fiancée said to her fiancé angrily, Dang, don't get carried away by your emotions. This accused Arab girl is a self-confessed prostitute. The newspaper reported that the police found some nude photos of her with a Saudi man. Her scandalous photos showed her standing completely naked without a shred of cover on her body in front of the rich old Arab man. I will not know why the honorable and chaste Arab girl in South did that unless I meet her personally and talk to her face to face, and I cannot meet her unless I hire a lawyer. Before you go to a lawyer, you should know that he will charge a lot of money to defend a serious case like this. Whatever the financial cost, I must find a lawyer immediately. Dang, you don't have any money and you are still a student at the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Khartoum. So whatever money you have belongs to your parents. You should talk to them first before you go to a lawyer. If my parents refuse to help defend the Arab girl accused in this case, I will sell my car. Sell your car? Are you crazy? I'm not crazy. I'm involved in the same crimes that are attributed to Insaf. When Deng said these words, the Arab waitress came and brought dinner for the 2 Negro friends. By this time, the racist Arab waitress had become certain that the so-called angry black Negro slave would not jump on the fallen brown cheek nigger and kill her or rape her on the ground, just as a rooster would devour his hen or a dog would bray on its beach. Miss, Deng said to her anxiously, please take your money. We are in a hurry. We don't have time to eat. After the black Negro slave paid the bill and gave her a tip, the Arab waitress took the food tray and was very happy because she got 2 free dinners for her and her colleague, the other waitresses. Hamad's floating tourist restaurant will not give them free food until they buy it with their own salary expenses. If the so-called niggers touched the tray of that delicious food with their hands, the 2 Arab waitresses would not eat it even if it was their last meal in their lives, because they would not eat the leftovers of black-faced slaves as if they had been suckled in the darkness of the pitch black night. In any case, the sudden change in the program and the fiance's anxiety spoiled the beautiful evening for the black lovers. The fiancée, Susie, questioned her fiancé Deng a million times before they arrived at a lawyer's office. Her lover felt her jealousy and anger and tried everything in his power to please her, but he could not. As the two sat in the waiting room, their argument became heated again. Deng said impatiently, my dear Susie, we are officially engaged and I love you, but in no uncertain terms, I will not give up on this idea. Insaf was once my friend. She is still dear to me. If she committed it, these crimes at all. I am the black African Negro who led her into all this trouble. But you no longer love her after her racist Arab parents separated you. And she no longer loves you either. She is now a fallen and insignificant Arab girl. Susie, the Muslim fiancé, then shouted angrily again at his African Christian fiancée. Suzanne, if you talk like that again about my ex-Arab friend and staff, I will never talk to you again. How can you condemn a Muslim girl you have never known or seen? These warning words closed the jealous girl's mouth, but caused her to frown. Shortly thereafter, the fiancé Deng was summoned, but his fiancée Susie refused to accompany him inside the lawyer's office. The advocate that Deng came to appoint to defend his former Arab lover turned out to be a female lawyer named Sam Khalil. She's also an Arab woman. She's famous for her success in her profession. She's also a woman's rights activist with 10 years of experience. She has won most of her court cases. If she understands that the child is a real crime, child abuse, or a violence against women, she would not accept defending it. She can know from the beginning the possibility of winning or losing the case. She's a very intelligent attorney with a strong personality. She's a beautiful Arab woman who lives alone and is in her early 40s. She had never been married before and decided to remain single all her life. She believes that marriage in Islam is a form of slavery for women. She is also a feminist, and for her, God is not real. She's a Muslim by birth, but when she joined the faculty of law at the University of Khartoum, she became an atheist. However, she claims to be a Muslima woman to avoid being killed by the Sharia court as an apostate Muslim. When the southern boy Deng entered her office, he found her talking on the phone. She motioned for him with her hand to sit on a chair in front of her huge office table. When he looked at her serious face, a mixture of admiration and away filled his heart. Lawyer Siam Khalil said in a polite voice, "Yes, sir, how can I help you?" With trembling hands and a wavering voice, Deng handed the newspaper to her and said, "I have come to ask you to defend this accused girl's case." When the lawyer saw Insaf's picture in the newspaper, she immediately said, "Oh my God, no lawyer in the entire city of Khartoum will agree to take on this case unless he is a cheater and wants to steal your money. This is the most difficult case I have ever known." Deng said sadly, "Believe me, ma'am, this accused girl is innocent. She is just a victim. I myself am involved in her case." "You mean to say that she is a victim of society, and because of that she killed, stole, and became a prostitute?" "That is not exactly what I wanted it to say. The southern black African boy accused of committing adultery with her. Aren't you? I was in love relationship with her when I was a student at school in her city of Al Gadarif, but I never even touched her hand. So you want me to protect you from being drawn into this serious case. I want you to defend the innocent accused girl as well." "I honestly cannot defend this accused. I'm very sorry, sir. Allow me to thank you for visiting my office even though I rejected your impossible request. Allow me to frankly also add my opinion to you that this accused girl will not escape her punishment. So I don't want to scam you and take your money. My advice to you is not to waste your money and time trying to hire a lawyer to defend a lost case like this. Ma'am, lawyer Siham, if the first three charges are false, then the remaining charges are probably false as well. What are the first three false charges and what are the other false accusations? The accused girl did not commit adultery with me, nor did she become pregnant by me, and therefore she did not give birth to an illegitimate child and kill the so-called walad haram. Even if these first three charges were false, she killed her husband on their first wedding night, fled from home and her city, stole jewelry and money from the people who sheltered her in their homes, became a prostitute in a brothel in Khartoum, killed her fellow prostitute, slaughtered another bim, and exposed her private parts in front of a wealthy Saudi man, and hence she earned money illegally. The newspapers also said that she had sex with that Saudi sheikh, and this means that she was completely naked on the day she killed the Bim lady who linked her to him. She also agreed to be photographed naked in order to publish her obscene pictures on the internet for the purpose of selling and advertising and bringing men to her and her beam. The police authority has concrete evidence of all these accusations. Ma'am, Siam Khalil, many innocent people have been accused of serious charges and falsely convicted. Later, when they were hanged to death, the community knew that they were innocent. Everyone regretted their unjust ruling and accusations while they were victims of lies. But what use will regret do when it is too late? In addition, I know that my good Arab friend in South, whom I fell in love with at first sight, would never commit all these heinous crimes. She's an Arab girl with good manners. But Sarah, didn't you know that good girls can be influenced by bad girls? In South, link it up with a prostitute girl and a BIM woman and kill them because of her greed to earn ill-gotten money. Ma'am, we cannot be sure and jump to a hasty conclusion unless we examine the circumstances that led her to come into contact with this bad woman. Studying the circumstances in a case like this would require a lot of time and money. I will cover the expenses and pay your fees. What happens if you lose the case? Just do your duty as a lawyer and don't worry about the outcome. Listen, sir, after speaking with you, I can tell you that the chance of winning this case is less than 20%. Even if the success rate is 1%, I still must not give up. I have strong confidence in you and great confidence in the accused girl in South. Lawyer Siam said while smiling affectionately at the African boy. So you still love the Arab girl in South. I'm an African Muslim boy engaged to an African Christian girl named Suzanne. But my love for the detained Arab Muslim girl in South did not die for a single second. The lawyer said admiringly, well, I will do what I can for you and the accused girl without any promises. Thank you very much, ma'am. What is your name? Deng Nasir. What are you doing now to earn a living, Mr. Deng Nasir? I study medicine at the University of Khartoum. So you must be very busy with your college studies. I'm here anytime you need me. Would you be willing to accompany me to visit all the cities, Gadarif, Khartoum, and Port Sudan that Insaf has visited and lived in for a while? Yes, I will come with you, ma'am. Okay, come back here in 2 days' time. Then I will tell you what we need to do. Yes, I will definitely come back. Thank you very much, my esteemed ma'am. Chapter 26. Dane chooses between Susie and Insaf. As his fiancée predicted, her fiancé's parents were against the idea and considered their son's appointment of a legal representative a foolish move. Immediately, his father, Mr. Nasir, picked up the phone to cancel the assignment of lawyer Siham Khalil. Then shouted it angrily, I will not cancel my appointment with the lawyer. Mr. Nasir also shouted it angrily, we will not give you a single Sudanese pound to spend on such a useless cause. After she finished reading the newspaper, Mrs. Nasir said, I will not allow my educated African son to involve himself in the case of a useless Arab girl like this. The son replied to his mother, she is not a bad girl. The Abyssinian mother said to her Sudanese son in a challenging tune, the girl who killed 4 people lived as a prostitute and a brothel for a long time, stole jewelry and money from the families who took her in, and exposed her naked body and showed her private parts to a lustful old Saudi man. Isn't she a bad girl? If the Arab girl in Saf committed these crimes at all, it was because her circumstances led her to do so. In addition, she is still accused, and the law says the accused is innocent until proven guilty. Mr. Nasser asked his son, what were the circumstances that promoted her to do this? Because of my love, Insaf had problems with her Arab family. Not because of your love. Her Arab family despised you and separated her from you by force. Do you know why they despise you? Mrs. Nasser asked her son. Before her son could answer her question, she resumed her speech. Because you are a black Southern African and she is a white Northern Arab. That is why they look at you as just an inferior Negro slave who is not suitable to be a life partner for her, as if God created her from pure gold and you from black clay. I will not know why Insaf left me until I meet her and talk to her. You are not going to meet this girl and talk to her, Mr. Nasser said. Of course I will meet her and talk to her, Mrs. Nasser said. We will not allow you to leave your studies to involve yourself in the case of a useless girl like this. She is not a useless person. She is an innocent girl. Even if she is an innocent girl, what does that have to do with you anyway? Is she still your friend? Mr. Nasser asked. She is not my girlfriend now, but my love for her never died. The Ethiopian mother shouted angrily at a Sudanese son. Dang, be careful with your words. You are already in a relationship and engaged to another girl. Your fiancée, Susie, and her parents won't like these words if they hear you say them. I still love Susie, and I am going to marry her. You cannot express your love to your African friend and still love your Arab friend, Mr. Nasser quipped. My Denka fiancée, Susie, loves and trusts me. Then abandon this foolish idea and everything will be fine. You only have a few months left before your wedding, Mrs. Nasser said. I will not give up on the idea. Mr. Nasir said, well, rebel against your parents, neglect your studies, and renew your engagement. I expect you to help me, father. How can you call this disobedience? I'm not going to help you defend a prostitute, Mr. Nasir said. Mrs. Nasir added, she's a murderer and a thief as well. Instead of an innocent girl, she's a victim. When Deng shouted it, the above words at the top of his lungs, his parents were surprised. They concluded that their son had made up his mind and nothing could convince him to cancel his plan to defend his Arab friend. Hence, his father decided it to play his last card, which he thought would force his stubborn son to abandon his foolish idea. Mr. Nasir said seriously, listen, Deng, I swear to divorce my wife. If you continue trying to defend this lost cause, I will disown you as my son and separate myself from your mother forever. Dad, please don't threaten to divorce my mother and disown me, your only son, Deng shouted angrily. The angry Muslim father got to his feet and walked out of the living room. He entered his room and slammed the door behind him. Mrs. Nasir started it crying and saying, look at the result of your disobedience. You will separate your father from your mother. You will lose your Muslim father and your Christian mother forever. And all of this is because of that bad Arab girl who killed, stole, and lived as a dirty prostitute in a brothel in the city of Khartoum. Deng tried to speak, but his words were choked in his throat. He also stood up and ran to his room. He closed the door and fell onto his bed. He began to cry like a friend who had lost a dear friend or a family member. Deng's angry mother called it fiancée Susie and her parents immediately. She spoke to them on the phone and asked them to come and intervene between her husband and son before the happy family disintegrated it. She counted the minutes as if they were centuries until her son's fiancée and her parents arrived. Once inside, Mrs. Nasir showed them the two rooms in which her husband and son had locked themselves. The fiancée's parents rushed into the father's room and their daughter entered the son's room. Deng was still crying when Susie entered. She came slowly and sat near him on his bed. She had not yet overcome the shock of the shocking news. Her hand was shaking as she tapped his shoulder. Deng, the lover whispered in her lover's ear. It is me, your friend Susie. I want to talk to you. The fiancé raised his head and looked at his fiancée. There were many tears in his eyes. His face showed the deep hurt in his heart. He looked nervous and afraid. Why did you make your father so mad at you? Susie asked quietly. Deng remained silent. Why did you put all this fear in the heart of your dear mother, who thought she would divorce and separate from her beloved husband? Deng remained silent. My father and mother are here. They couldn't believe what your mother told them. They came to talk to you and your father about this dangerous matter that almost destroyed your happy family. Deng started to cry again and looked at Susie with tear-filled eyes. Deng, you should go now and apologize to your father. My parents and I could not believe that you could reject your parents for an accused Arab girl who was no longer your friend. One fiancé, Deng did not respond. His fiancée, Susie, got up from his bed and helped him to his feet. Slowly and affectionately, She led him into the living room. She found that her parents had taken the angry father out of his room as well. Then she helped Deng sit on the sofa and sat next to him. She put her hands around his waist and hugged him tightly. She was still crying while hugging him with her deep love and intense affection. My friend Deng felt very bad about what he did to his father and mother. The fiancé said, still crying. Susie continued. He is now ready to apologize to his father and mother. The four parents wiped their tears and waited for the apology of the stubborn son who nearly destroyed his happy family with his reckless insistence on defending his former Arab lover in South. Speak, my darling Deng. Say you are sorry, Susie said. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I'm so sorry for hurting your feelings. The sad fiancé said quietly. Susie's mother said, we know that Deng is a good boy. Yes, we know he is a blessing to his parents and to us, Susie's father said. The fiancé's mother continued, we are very proud that our good son Deng will be a future husband to our beloved daughter Suzanne. I love you so much, Deng, his girlfriend said, then kissed him on the cheek. I love you too, Susie, the fiancé replied, kissing his fiancée on the lips. Let us celebrate, Suzanne's father said. The fiancé's mother said, oh, fiancé's mother, hurry up and get the juice, distribute the sweets, and let us ululate, rejoice, and sing. Deng's mother wiped her tears, ran to her son, and hugged him lovingly. You are my bride. You are my only son and my dearest. Mrs. Nasir happily shrugged off her pride. I know you will never bring me shame. Go now, my darling son, and give your dear father a big hug. The happy mother continued, your beloved father suffered a deep wound in his heart, so you must apologize to him and remove that satanic idea from your mind that led you to disobey his orders. For the sake of that fallen, unfairly criminal Arab girl, I'm sorry, Dad. The son repeated, I'm so sorry, Dad, Deng said, crying pitifully. I'm very sorry, my dear father. Deng repeated his apology for the third time. But I cannot leave the accused Arab girl in South Salah al-Junaid to bear the consequences of our forbidden love alone. I'm involved in some of the charges against her, and I must defend her no matter the cost and the risk. I would be a cowardly lover and a treacherous friend if I did not stand with her in her distress and defend her with sincerity and courage. Deng's words fell like hot acid into everyone's ears. A cloud of darkness passed through everyone's eyes. I have no other choice, Dad. I have no other choice, Mom. I cannot live in South to face the hostility of the entire racist Arab community. I'm guilty too. I put her through all this trouble. Insaf resisted my love for a long time. She repeatedly asked me to stay away from her. She told me that she fears the dire consequences because she is Arab and I am African. She told me that we would be lovers who were not fit for marriage. In other words, she believed that we were unmarriageable lovers because of our racial differences. She said that her racist Arab father would agree to marry her to the devil, not to me. I didn't listen to her. I kept chasing her until she fell in love with me. She truly and sincerely loved me, and I almost worshipped her at that time. Because of her forbidden love for me, her father took her out of school and locked her inside his house as if she had committed an unforgivable crime. I lost contact with her, uh, and after that, I don't know what happened to her. But yesterday, I learned through the newspaper that Susie gave me that I had been falsely accused of committing adultery with her, impregnating her with an illegitimate child, and giving birth to Walat Haram, as if she gave birth to a forbidden jinni or a human scandal, killing him and dumping his remains in a creek near her family's home in the city of Gadari. So if I do not defend her righteousness, she may be condemned to being a rebellious girl against her Arab family, commit adultery, and become pregnant out of marriage born by a southern African boy. But all these accusations are not true. No one can exonerate her from these false accusations except me. I also learned through the newspaper that she was forced to marry a 77-year-old man, had to kill him on their first wedding night, and fled in the middle of the night from her Arab family's home and city because of me. If Insaf killed, stole, and become a prostitute, it is because of me. I was the one who led her to the edge of that cliff into a high mountain of our forbidden love. If I hadn't saved her, she might have fallen and ruined her life while she was still a young teenage girl in the prime of her age. Therefore, I'm the one who is supposed to be convicted by the law, and she is supposed to be acquitted in honor. I'm the Negro slave who challenged the racist Arab society that forbids the marriage of a black African boy to a white Arab girl. She's an innocent girl in service as innocent of those false malicious charges as the wolf is innocent of the blood of Joseph, the son of Jacob. I am the real culprit, but I will not remain a coward and a fugitive. I will pay the money to the female lawyer Siham Khalil, who agreed to plead her case and prove her an innocent suspect in court. And I will also magnanimously defend her innocence. Then tried to continue, but he couldn't. He fell to his knees and began to cry bitterly. His Muslim father stood and looked at him angrily and wanted to jump on him and strangle him to death. But somehow he controlled his righteous anger, returned to his room, and closed the door. His Christian mother began to cry, pull her hair, and slap her face in a hysterical state of righteous wrath. His fiancée's parents got up from their seats and headed towards the outside door. Suzanne's father shouted angrily, "Come, my daughter Susie, we have nothing more to say." The sweetheart Susie said while she was still crying, "Dad, please don't go. My beloved Deng will change his mind." Her mother said very angrily, "Come, my good daughter Susie. Deng is no longer a suitable future life partner for you. The son who separated his father and mother cannot be trusted anymore." "Mom, please don't say that. I love Deng and he loves me too. He will change his mind and apologize to his parents." "He won't change his mind or apologize," the father told his daughter Suzanne. Susie's mother said to her daughter, The African boy, Deng, must face the law for making an Arab girl pregnant with an illegitimate child out of wedlock. Then the angry mother grabbed her stubborn daughter's hand and dragged her. The African girl, Suzanne, continued to cry and resist her mother until they reached their car outside. The father opened the side door of his car and helped his wife push their crying daughter into the car, and they drove away. Chapter 27. The two true eternal lovers meet again. Shortly after the African Christian fiancée, Susie was forcibly taken away by her angry parents. The angry Muslim father kicked his stubborn African son out of the house. The father told his son, Deng, to leave and never come back. The angry father told his stubborn son that he shouldn't even have to attend his funeral if he died before him. The Sudanese Muslim husband also asked his Cuban Christian wife to leave his home as well. He advised her to go to her Abyssinian family home in Khartoum City and wait until she obtained her divorce certificate. He further told her that, according to Islamic Sharia law, she had become divorced because their stubborn son refused to submit to the threat of divorcing his mother. A few hours later, the family of the African fiancée, Suzanne, called Mr. Nasser on the phone and canceled the engagement of their Christian daughter to his Muslim son. Meanwhile, the homeless African lover Deng spent that night with his friend in the medical college boarding hostel. The sudden change in the medical student's Deng's life was overwhelming and heartbreaking. He could not sleep that night and spent most of the time thinking about his family, which he had destroyed. His highly educated and gainfully employed African fiancée, Susie, whom he lost forever, and his Arab friend, the accused girl in South, who is now being held in a solitary confinement cell in the women's prison. His heart and mind are torn and divided between difficult choices. He's facing a difficult dilemma. His conscience haunts him all night. His heart cries for his mother and father. His mind longs for his Negro fiancée, Susie. His conscience bleeds because of the suffering of his Arab friend in South. Many times he would pull his hair and beat his chest to relieve the pain in his heart. He cried over the loss of his African fiancée and regretted it, separating from his parents. But his longing for his Arab friend prevented him from retracting his correct decision to appoint a lawyer to defend her. He thought that his love for Insaf had died when he lost her in the city of Gaddarif, but now he discovered that her love remains in his heart forever. Her innocent face in the picture he saw in the newspaper yesterday revived his deep feelings for his fairest love. He realized that he did not love his African fiancée, Suzanne, as much as he thought. It was only his mind that convinced him that he had fallen in love with her. It was just a fling that was blinded and decided by his parents and hers. He guessed that perhaps his Arab girlfriend met a passing lover during her period of wandering in Khartoum without a goal, shelter, or money. Deng's tortured mind, troubled heart, and bleeding conscience began to attract him to his beloved Arab girl in South. He visualized her inside a prison cell with her hands tied with handcuffs, her feet with fetters, and her legs with chains. He imagined her beautiful, innocent face and her charming eyes looking for a rescuer through the iron bars. Her beautiful eyes stared through the dark dungeon, searching for the savior. He cried bitterly when he saw in his mind his beloved friend Insaf alone and tied up in that horrific cell. He wished to be by her side inside that dark, bottomless hole to provide her with comfort during her difficult time. His memory brought him back to those days when they stood in the street and whispered their innocent feelings of love. He longed to hold her hands, touch her cheeks, take her in his arms, and kiss her beautiful lips. But the cruel, racist Arab society put barriers that made them immarriageable lovers. She's an Arab and he's an African. She's a Northern and he's a Southerner. She's a Shagia girl and he's a Denka boy. It has never happened and will never happen for an African Arab girl to marry an African young man like him. The racist society viewed him as a mere black-faced Negro slave, while she was considered a free, white-faced Arab girl. He knew that Insaf loved him too and longed to be with him as his future wife. But being a girl, she told him frankly that she did not have the power to decide who she would marry. Whenever he asked her to marry him, she responded it by crying and telling him that she could not stand up for her rights and challenge her Arab parents and Islamic society. She was helpless and he was powerless at that time. She remained obedient to her Arab parents and loyal to her African lover until she disappeared from his life. That night, Deng was able to fill in the missing part of the sad story of his beloved Arab friend Insaf. He guessed and guessed half right and half wrong what happened to her after she disappeared from his life. She ran away from home after her father forced her to marry the old man. She killed her elderly husband in self-defense of her honor, thus preventing him from taking her virginity and discrediting her chaste body. She killed him when he tried to rape her on their first wedding night. Then she ran away and became a homeless girl. She was forced into prostitution and theft, and in the end, she killed in the brutal house the prostitute Badriya and the BIM lady Hajjashaza. The African lover wished that his Arab lover had not killed her old husband and had not fled her home, her family, and her city. If she had not killed her old hunchbacked Arab husband, she would not have become a fugitive, a homeless person, a prostitute, a murderer, and a thief. After arriving at this conclusion, Deng watered his pillow when he realized that he was the one who got her into all that trouble. Therefore, he is determined not to back down from his decision to defend her in court, even if it costs him his life. He knew his parents won't help financially, therefore he decided to sell his own car to cover the fees of her lawyer. The next day, when the African lover entered the office of the Arab lawyer Siam Khalil, she was surprised to see his face. "What happened to you?" the lawyer asked. "You look nervous and afraid." Deng replied with a sad voice and frowning face, "I have a disagreement with my family. My father divorced my mother and kicked me out of the house because I refused to cancel your appointment to defend my accused Arab friend, Insaf. I also lost my African fiancée, Suzanne, because I was determined to stand by my Arab lover and defend her in her ordeal. I'm not surprised to hear that, the lawyer said in a wonder. Any Sudanese family would try to prevent their son from associating himself with a girl accused of crimes such as prostitution, murder, and theft. No matter what happens to me, I will not back down because I'm confident in your defense ability to prove the innocence of my suspected Arab friend Insaf. I appreciate your chivalrous stance and your great sacrifice for your accused Arab friend. Thank you, ma'am. Well, I informed the court authority and told them that I would take over the case of the suspect Insaf Salah al as her lawyer. I will meet her in prison today and listen to her statements. Would you be willing to accompany me to prison? Yes, ma'am. I want to meet her, encourage her, and tell her that I will stand with her and do everything in my power to save her from being unjustly condemned. Well, wait until I get court permission for you to come with me. In the meantime, since her arrest, the accused Arab girl Insaf Salah al had remained in her small cell for 2 weeks. She is not allowed to meet other female suspects and convicts. She was isolated in a small, dark cell and fed like a wild beast. The prison authority considered her a very dangerous suspect with a strong tendency to kill other female prisoners. She was unable to clean her clothes, bath her body, or comb her hair. In a short time, she began to look like an outcast girl who was thrown into a bottomless pit and remained alone most of the time. She was informed that as long as she was in pre-trial detention, she was not entitled to any supplies from the prison authority, such as a condemned prisoner's uniform, bedding, toothpaste, toothbrush, and soap. It is up to her relatives or friends outside the prison to provide her with these essential items for daily life. Since no one came to visit her or claimed to be her relative or friend, she was left alone in that dark cell. She could smell her dirty clothes and unclean body. She felt extremely miserable and longed for death to free her from this inhumane treatment. No one among her three former lovers, Deng, Samir, or William, had come to see her in jail or written a letter to her. One day, 4 female guards came to her cell and told her that she would meet her legal representative. The pound defendant got to her feet and supported herself from falling to the ground. She followed them slowly because of the heavy chains that bound her hands and feet. One day, 4 female guards came to her cell and told her that she would meet her legal representative. The bound defendant got to her feet and supported herself from falling to the ground. She followed them slowly because of the heavy chains that bound her hands and feet. When she arrived at the room where she was supposed to meet her lawyer, she saw a woman and a young man sitting silently. She could not see their faces because they were facing the opposite direction. As soon as the two visitors learned of her presence, they turned their faces towards her. Insaf immediately recognized the black boy as her missing African lover. Deng stood up, said with tears falling from his eyes, "Do you still remember me, my dear Insaf? In case you forgot who I am, this picture might remind you of me." He showed her ID card from the time when she was a student at the girls' high school, which she gave to him as a gift, along with her little photo. The accused girl looked at the photo of her expired ID card and then at his face, her eyes welling with tears. Her African boyfriend knelt in front of her and held her hands. The Arab friend himself wanted to hug him, but the chains prevented her. Her lover grabbed her body, hugged her, and began to cry loudly. Miss Insaf burst into tears when she felt the touch of true love from her fairest African lover. She did not expect it to see him again in her tragic life, which had become an unbearable hell because of their forbidden love. Then kissed her hands and watered her feet with hot tears. He had held her in his arms for a long time and might not have let go, let her go had the lawyer not asked him to. Please, Mr. Deng Nasir, control your emotions and let me take her statement because we have to be quick. They won't let us stay with her for long. When he left her and returned to his seat, the Arab lawyer gently touched Insaf's shoulder and said to her, "My name is Tiham Khalil. I'm your lawyer. Your African friend Deng Nasir appointed me as your defender in court during your trial. He wants me to plead your case before the criminal court in Khartoum. In order to do this, I want you to tell me in detail exactly where you have been and what you have done since you fled your home and your family in the city of Gadarif. Before that, I want to know what your Arab parents did to you after they discovered your love affair with the African boy, Deng. Also, do not forget to tell me how your old husband, Hattaha, died and why they hold you responsible for his death. I want to know, did you kill your roommate, Badria Drop? Then why did you kill the BIM woman, Hajjashaza, who brought you to the Saudi man, Sheikh Abdu? I have a tape recorder with me. I will record every word you say. After that, I'll go with your friend Deng to visit all the places where you lived in Gadarif, both Sudan and Khartoum." Then the suspected Arab girl in South Salah Junaid told the story of her sad tragedy from the time she fell into her so-called haram love or forbidden love affair with the African boy Deng Nasir until she was arrested by the police on the riverbank in Khartoum city. She did not hide or delay anything from her heartbreaking story. While telling the story of her tragic life, her African friend Deng sat next to her, his eyes shedding hot tears. Even her lawyer, Siam Khalil, took out her handkerchief several times and wiped away the tears that fell like drops of heavy rain on her cheeks. Both her lover and her lawyer believed every word she said about the tragic life journey she had traveled all alone.